Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on the unwritten rules of Borderlands. The Borderlands community has spent over a decade perfecting the art of looting and shooting, and if you're still playing it like a standard FPS, you're doing it wrong. These aren't just suggestions, they're the social contracts that keep Pandora from collapsing into total anarchy. In today's video, we're going to go over the 40 unwritten laws of the Borderlands series, and I'll give you a punishment you'll have to suffer if you decide to break each rule. Rule number 1. The host is always the boss. Starting things off with the most basic rule of co-op etiquette. The host is the absolute monarch of the session. They decide which mission we're doing, when we're fast traveling, and how long we spend looking at a wall. If you join someone else's game and you start clicking through dialogue or forcing travels, you're a digital hijacker. And honestly, it's just rude. If you break this rule, I sentence you to 50 push-ups every time you try to initiate a fast travel without a verbal okay from the host. Rule 2. Don't touch the loot. Speaking of guests behaving loudly, we need to talk about the loot drop. In the older games, everyone sees the same pile of guns, and grabbing a legendary the second it hits a floor is a crime against humanity. The host or the person who spent 4 hours farming the boss gets first dibs. It's just common sense. If you ninja loot a legendary, you're required to delete your favorite piece of gear immediately. It's the only way to balance the cosmic scales. Rule 3. Always offer to dupe. If you do manage to snag a legendary that everyone wants, the community expectation is that you offer to duplicate it. It isn't cheating, it's being a good friend. You drop the item, you dashboard out before the game saves, and suddenly everyone is happy. If you refuse to dupe a rare drop when someone asks nicely, you're a gatekeeping weirdo, and your punishment is to farm a 94% sham legitimately without any exploits. Rule 4. Revive your teammates and fight for your life. From one co-op obligation to another. You have to revive your teammates when they're in fight for your life. Watching your friend bleed out while you're busy looting a white rarity shield is a level of betrayal that would make Handsome Jack blush. It takes 5 seconds. Just hold the button. If you let a teammate die when you're standing right next to them, you have to play as Claptrap in the pre-sequel for 10 hours straight. Enjoy the misery. Rule 5. Leave a weak enemy for the down player. While we're on the subject of dying, if your friends are down, please stop being a hero and killing everything in the room. They need a second wind. And they can't get it if you've already vaporized every enemy in sight. Leave at least one psycho alive so they can get back up. If you kill steal from a down player and force them to respawn, you lose the right to use ammo for your best guns for the next 3 areas. Speaking of leaving enemies alive, if you've got a Maya on your team, you need to let her phase lock something. Her entire skill tree is built around holding enemies in place to trigger healing and damage buffs for the whole party. If you're a Salvador player just blowing up everything, you're actively hurting the team's efficiency. If you kill every phase lock target before Maya can use her buffs, you have to do 100 jumping jacks to work off that unearned adrenaline. Rule 7. You must slag in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. As we move into the harder difficulties, the rules get much more technical, like the requirement to use slag in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. If you aren't coating enemies in purple goo before shooting them, you're basically tickling them with feathers. It's a chore, sure, but it's the law. If you're caught trying to brute force Ultimate Vault Hunter without slag, you're sentenced to beat Terramorphous using only a white rarity pistol. Good luck with that. Rule 8. Match your elements. Speaking of technical requirements, you really need to match your elements to the enemy's health bar. Fire for flesh, shock for shields, and corrosive for armor. It's basic rock, paper, scissors logic that some of you still seem to ignore. Carrying a diverse loadout is the mark of a veteran. If you're seen shooting a shielded robot with a fire SMG, you're forced to walk everywhere in the original Borderlands without using a vehicle for 1 hour. Rule 9. Never pick up the doctor's orders echoes. Now we're getting into the specific farming rules that define the community experience, starting with the Wildlife Exploitation Preserve. If you pick up those echo recorders, you are a literal thief of joy, because you just killed the loot midget farm for everyone. Those 4 boxes are the most reliable source of legendaries in the game. If you pick up even one of those echoes, you have to listen to Claptrap's beatboxing on loop for 30 minutes. Rule 10. Never finish the grog nozzle quest. While we're on the topic of never finishing quests, don't ever turn in the beard makes the man in the Tiny Tina DLC. The grog nozzle is the best healing tool in the entire franchise, and turning in the quest makes it disappear forever. It stays in your inventory as a mission item. Keep it that way. If you accidentally finish the quest, I hope you're ready for 200 squats as a penalty for your lack of attention. Rule 11. Always tip Moxie. Every trip back to Sanctuary or the Hub requires a visit to Moxie's bar for a quick tip. It's a franchise tradition that eventually pays off with life-stealing weapons. And it's just polite. If you're too cheap to drop a few thousand credits in the jar, you don't deserve her help. If you skip the tip jar, you have to sell your shield and play the next boss fight completely naked. Let's see how long you last. Rule 12. Open every single container. The community has a collective obsession with looting every locker, toilet, and trash heap, because we've seen the legendaries that pop out at least once. It's a compulsive reflex at this point. If you walk past a chest or a skag pile without checking it, you're leaving potential gold on the table. If you're caught being efficient and skipping containers, you have to spend 5 minutes punching a cactus in the dust. Rule 13. Check the vending machines. Just like the trash piles, the vending machines are a gold mine if you're patient enough to check the item of the day, especially in the newer games. Legendaries show up there all the time for a reasonable price. Checking them should be as natural as breathing. If you ignore a vending machine and miss a legendary, you're doing 50 push-ups right now. Get to it. I hope you're enjoying this look into our very sane and not at all obsessive community. I'd love it if you subscribe to this channel. Let's see if we can get 1,000 subs a week after this video is uploaded. Rule 14. Save your golden keys. There's a massive debate about when to use golden keys, but the smart play is usually to save them for when you're stuck or hit a level cap. Using them at level 5 is a waste of perfectly good purple rarity items. If you spend all your keys before you even reach the first major boss, you're sentenced to use a starter pistol for the entirety of the next level. Hopefully you're good at clicking fast. Rule 15. Don't enter Ultimate Vault Hunter mode past level 50. This is a technical rule that saves lives. Don't overlevel in the second playthrough before jumping into Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. If you enter at level 55, the enemies will be level 55, but your gear will be capped at 50, and you'll get absolutely obliterated. It's a math problem that ends in your death. If you ignore this warning and enter Ultimate Vault Hunter mode overleveled, you owe me 100 crunches while you wait for your shield to recharge. Rule 16. Read-only farm your quest rewards. If you're on PC, you have to learn to set your save to read-only, so you can farm the perfect version of a quest reward. Getting a Sandhawk without the flying prefix is basically a slap in the face. If you just take the first version the game gives you, you're settling for mediocrity. If you're too lazy to farm the right parts, your punishment is to farm the bunker for 4 hours straight without a break. I hope you have a level 0. Rule 17. Never mod or hack without permission. In public co-op lobbies, bringing in modded weapons that one-shot everything is the fastest way to get kicked and blocked. It ruins the fun for everyone who actually wants to play the game. Keep your black rarity gear in your own solo sessions. If you're caught using cheats in someone else's lobby without asking, you have to go and clean your entire desk and gaming area immediately. You clearly have too much free time. Rule 18. Back up your save before going online. Backing up your save is a survival instinct in this community, especially because one bad modder can corrupt your entire character or mess with your badass rank. It's a wild world out there in public matchmaking. If you lose your save because you didn't back it up, you have to go to googleflights.com and book a flight to England. When you arrive there, you will go to Epping Forest. Upon entering the forest, you will soon find a white man called Jeffrey. He looks nice and harmless, but don't be mistaken, he's killed men before. He will then lead you to a clearing in the forest, where there will be an altar. You will sit at this altar, and you will chant exactly what he tells you to. Before you know it, you will have given your life and soul to the blood god. You will never be the same, and you no longer have control over your own body. Next time, back up your fucking save. Rule number 19. The B-Shield in Sandhawk is law. When things get too difficult, we all fall back on the holy trinity of gear. And in Borderlands 2, that means the B-Shield and the Sandhawk. The amp damage from the B applies to every single projectile from the Hawk. It's disgusting, it's broken, and it's beautiful. If you're struggling and refuse to use this combo, I'm forcing you to drink a gallon of water. You need to stay hydrated so your brain works better. Rule number 20. Moxie's weapons are your lifeline. You should never, ever sell a Moxie weapon. I don't care if it's 10 levels under your current character. The lifesteal mechanic is a literal lifesaver in harder modes, where health gate mechanics are your only defense. Hold the grog nozzle, throw a grenade, and watch your health bar snap back to full. If you sell your only healing weapon, you're forbidden from using any health vials for an entire mission. Rule 21. Update your gear every 3 to 5 levels. Level scaling in this game is brutal. A legendary from level 20 is basically a paperweight by 25. You have to be willing to let go of your favorite guns and replace them with green rarity gear that actually does damage. If you're still using a level 10 Unkempt Herald, at level 30, you have to use a level 1 starting weapon against the next boss you face. Rule number 22. Don't farm until endgame. Farming for a specific legendary during the first playthrough is a massive waste of time, because you'll outlevel it in 20 minutes. Just use whatever the bosses drop and keep moving. The real game doesn't start until you're at level cap and you can actually keep your loot. If you're caught farming Knuckle Dragger for 3 hours at level 2, you're doing 100 lunges to clear that mental fog. Rule 23. Respec early and often. Respecing your skill tree is cheap and easy, so there's no excuse to having a bad build. If a boss is giving you trouble, go back to the station and try something new. The community loves experimentation. If you stick with a boring or broken build you're afraid to change, you have to change your character's outfit to the ugliest color combination possible and leave it that way for a week. Rule 24. Don't be a sham fleeter. Sham fleeting is the ultimate I don't want to actually play the game tactic. Using the sham shield to absorb the Norfleet rockets for infinite ammo, it's loud, it's annoying in co-op, and it's basically an exploit. If you do this in a public game without permission, you're doing 50 mountain climbers to simulate the effort you're currently skipping in-game. Rule number 25. Salvador breaks everything, and that's fine. We all collectively agree that Salvador is a walking glitch, and we love it for him. He can dual-wield a healing gun and a nuke launcher at the same time. While every other character has to follow the rules of physics, Salvador just doesn't. If you complain that Salvador is too strong, you're sentenced to play the original Borderlands without using Lilith. Enjoy being slow and vulnerable, just like you in real life. Rule 26. You will play every Vault Hunter eventually. You haven't really experienced Borderlands until you've leveled up every character in the roster. Each one changes the game so fundamentally that it's like playing a different title entirely. If you only ever play as a soldier archetype, you're missing out. If you refuse to try the other Vault Hunters, you have to attempt 50 pull-ups, or at least try to hang from the bar until your arms give out. Rule 27. Claptrap is annoying, and you will miss him. It's a community requirement to moan about Claptrap being the most annoying robot in existence while secretly being devastated if anything happens to him. He's our annoying little brother. If you admit you actually like him without any irony, you're a weirdo, and your punishment is to speak in a high-pitched Claptrap voice for the duration of your next mission. Rule 28. Side quests will overlevel you. Doing every side quest in the first playthrough is a trap that will make the main story too easy, and the second playthroughs feel like a slog. You need to pick and choose your battles. If you're 10 levels above the final boss because you had to find every hidden echo log, you're doing 10 minutes of wall sits to contemplate your life choices. Rule 29. Keep a rocket launcher for fight for your life. Always keep a high damage launcher in your 4th weapon slot. It's your emergency get out of death free card. When you're down and your enemy is hiding behind a box, splash damage is the only thing that's gonna save your life. If you're caught without a rocket launcher in fight for your life, you can only use melee attacks for the next area you clear. Rule 30. Tor Tokens. Farm the Barroom Blitz. If you want a legendary from the Torg machines, there's only one way to farm tokens. The Barroom Blitz in Pete's Bar. We do it on the easiest difficulty, because we value our time. If you try to farm tokens legitimately on the hardest difficulty, you're sentenced to 100 bicep curls with the heaviest book in your house, since you clearly love doing things the hard way. Rule 31. Don't skip the first playthrough's cutscenes. If you're in co-op and it's someone's first time, don't skip the cutscenes. Borderlands has some of the best character introductions in gaming, and skipping them is a crime against storytelling. If you skip a cutscene on a fresh player, you have to watch the entire end credits of the game twice without looking away. Rule 32. The Unkempt Herald is always the answer. If you're ever stuck on a boss or a difficult area, the community answer is always the same. Go get a double-penetrating Unkempt Herald. It's the most reliable high-damage pistol in the history of the series. If you ask for advice and then refuse to get the Herald, you have to use a TD or reload that accidentally kills you at least once before you're allowed to swap back. Rule 33. Legendaries from toilets are the holy grail. Finding a gold item in a shit pile or a toilet is the ultimate I've peaked moment for a Borderlands player. It's incredibly rare and highly respected. If you ever find one, you have to post it online to prove your luck. If you're one of those people who don't check the toilets, you have to go clean your real-life bathroom right now. You're clearly neglecting your responsibilities. Rule 34. Handsome Jack is the greatest villain. Don't argue. There's a community-wide consensus that Handsome Jack is the peak of video game villainy, and any attempt to argue otherwise is met with immediate hostility. He's funny, he's cruel, and he's perfectly written. If you try to say the Calypso twins were better, you have to write, "Jack is my hero," in the game chat 100 times until you learn some respect for the King of Helios. Rule 35. Borderlands 3's gameplay is S tier, but its story is F tier. We all agree that Borderlands 3 has the best gunplay and movement in the series, but the writing is, well, it's rough. We play it with the dialogue volume turned down to 0. If you're caught praising the plot of the third game, your punishment is to play with all the dialogue muted for a full week. Your ears need a vacation from the cringe. Rule 36. Invite only when farming. If you're doing a repetitive farming loop, set your game to invite only. Nothing is worse than a random player joining, scaling the boss's health up, and then stealing the drop you've been working 3 hours for. If you're caught farming on a public connection, you're doing 50 sit-ups to remind you that your time is valuable. Rule 37. Don't AFK during raid bosses. If you join a raid boss fight, you better be shooting. Standing in the corner while the 3 other people do the heavy lifting is a bannable offense in any self-respecting friend group. If you're caught being a leech, you have to carry all of your teammates' groceries around for the next month. You clearly need the exercise. Rule 38. Gibbed is morally gray. The save editor is a tool we all know about, and using it to skip a 50-hour grind for a specific part is generally tolerated by veterans. However, giving yourself a perfect character before you've even played the game is pathetic. If you're caught using Gibbed to cheat your way through a first playthrough, you have to farm a rare skin the old-fashioned way without any mods. Rule 39. In Borderlands 4, purples are the new legendaries. With the release of Borderlands 4, the loot economy changed. The legendaries are actually rare again. That means you have to start respecting purple rarity gear, especially with the new combination system. If you're still ignoring everything that isn't orange, you're gonna have a bad time. If you're caught vendoring a high tier purple, you owe me 100 star jumps for your ignorance. Rule 40. You never stop playing Borderlands. The final rule is that you never truly finish a Borderlands game. You might take a break for a year, but you'll eventually come back to try a new build or a new character. It's an endless cycle of loot and dopamine. If you say you're done with the series forever, your punishment is to replay the tutorial of every single game in the franchise back to back, just to remind you why you're still here. Thanks for watching, and subscribe.